What's going on, everybody? We are back with another super special guest. Today's guest is a UFC fighter in the lightweight division. His record is 23-7. He has 15 wins by submission. He's an absolute menace on the ground with his jiu-jitsu and submissions. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon the Leech Jackson. Massive fight this Saturday, just a few days away, UFC 309 from Madison Square Garden. Just how's camp going for you so far?
Yeah, it's nice because normally by this time I have no energy. I have like my voice changes, like my attitude changes. So it's like it's nice to just be normal going into the fight week, and really have my weight cut under control. I usually walk around at like 175, so cutting to 45 is quite a bit, and it's pretty hard on my body. So it's nice to just be normal going into fight week. I haven't been a lightweight since my UFC debut years ago, like 2015 or whatever that was.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So how's that feeling? Do you notice like some more size just naturally and stuff like that? Like you said, your weight cut's not as hard, but how you feel like the training with the more sizes going?
Yeah, it's been great because I just feel like more of an athlete. I get to like do my weightlifting and I get to do my sparring and my
Mm-hmm.
sprints and I get to kind of get back to my normal training. Before I used to have to I was in a calorie deficit for the last 2 or 3 weeks in my fight camp. So it drastically changes the way you train and the way you think and everything. So there's no weight cut brain this fight, so I feel good, feel healthy, ready to go.
Before we get into your fight, I just want to touch on. Did you watch UFC 308? I know you've
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
had experience with Taporia. You've been on that side of things. Did you expect that to go with Max the way it did, or?
No, I honestly, man, I was gonna call it the other way around because I thought Max would do a little bit better job like hitting and moving and stuff. But goes to show you like the caliber he is. Like he's great because he gets in the pocket with people, and he's willing to throw, and he throws with some dangerous guys. Like what he's done. Just the last three guys he's beat is just pretty insane. So I think Islam's got something coming for him. I think if he gains some weight, maybe he can bump up, man. I think he's dangerous, man. When I fought him, I thought it was going to be definitely more of a grappling fight. I
Mhm.
never saw his striking before that, so he caught me off guard, especially with all the body shots and his boxing and stuff like that. Caught me off guard. So like watching him fight his last few fights, nothing he does really surprises me with the boxing. The fact that he got in on Max and caught him, pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah, his body work is so nasty. It's just this might be a stupid question, but does it make you feel like any better how the fight went with you, seeing what he did to, Holloway and Volk and stuff like that? Does that make you feel any better at all?
No, I
Or
mean definitely, like it does nothing but good things for my stock. But at the same time, a loss is a loss, and when you go in there, you're always thinking like you always think that like you're gonna win the fight, and you have to be that way. You have to believe that. So when I fought him, I thought it was gonna be a completely different fight, and he caught me off guard with his strategy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Just your day to day in training that it's, less than a week out. What's your day to day look like?
I've been doing like so much more drilling this camp. I've been getting to work with a lot of good heavier guys, but really just a lot more drilling and getting my cardio where it needs to be and everything. And it feels good because I get to train how I've always trained in the past. It feels good to be able to like go through my whole camp training that way and not having to back off just because my calorie intake was too low or whatever. So
Hmm.
it's been great though, but I've been getting to do a lot more pad work, a lot more, footwork and just, body movement and stuff. And, feel great, man.
Have you ever performed in Madison Square Garden before? Or what do you expect from that, the whole venue and the environment there?
Oh man, I think it's gonna be pretty cool, pretty surreal. Honestly, like I don't think a whole lot about things like that, but
Hmm.
I'm a big hockey fan and I love football too. So like, getting to see the Madison Square Garden at these high level events, and then President Trump just had his Republicans or the speech there. So I'm like, it was nice to get to see all these big events at the Madison Square Garden. So MSG's been been around forever. It's been some of the biggest events there, so it's pretty cool to fight there. But at the end of the day, it's the same cage, same job, just get in there and get that finish and get a big win. So I'm excited to get in there for sure with some fans. It's been a while since Nashville, so it's been a while since I've been around fans. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say you've had a lot of Apex fights, so that alone will be cool. And then Madison Square Garden's like the next level of that.
Yeah.
But and then just your thoughts on Jim Miller himself, obviously active, living legend in the UFC.
Yeah, whenever they kind of told me after my last fight, they're like thankful that I took the fight because both of my opponents in my last two fights missed weight. So when they basically said whatever you want to do next, as long as it makes sense, we'll make it happen. And I
Mm,
told them I wanted to go up, and then once I told them that, maybe it was like a week or two later, they came back and said Jim Miller MSG, and I was like, oh, let's go,
yeah.
So it's pretty cool, man. Jim's, it's hard not to be a fan of Jim's because he's been fighting forever. He's fought
Mm,
some really tough fights and had some big wins when you kind of counted him out. So he's definitely that guy. He's a guy you can't count out, and he's a guy you gotta go in there and get a finish, or you gotta go in there and keep that pressure on him the whole time, or he'll come back and he'll sneak his way back in. But definitely I'm excited for the fight and the fight in the venue and to be in front of fans. The whole thing's been it would be pretty cool.
what are your thoughts on some of the other fights on the card? Jones, Stipe. How do you see that going?
I think Jones wins. I think honestly, like, there's not really anybody that can really flat out beat him in
Yeah.
every position. I think he just wins it in so many ways, just because he's very well rounded. And at that weight class, it's like style. It's kind of still back in the day where it's like styles win fights, and his style of like wrestling and then unorthodox striking, that kind of combination is it's gonna be hard to beat. I don't know. I don't even know if what's his name, the whiny ass champ right now. What's his name? I just went blank.
Aspinall.
Aspinall. I don't even know if he could beat him. I think he's definitely the best threat to beat him, but I don't know if he could. Him in his prime, no way. But maybe nowadays, who knows? But I love John Jones. I think he's a great fighter. I wish he'd been more active over the years and didn't have some of his troubles, but at the same time, that's what draws all the attention to him. So he's
Yeah.
doing great things. And then Chris Wyman's on the card.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of his. When he beat Anderson Silva, it was freaking insane.
Mm.
It was crazy, but yeah, I mean it's some good fights for sure.
Just the co-main also Charles and Chandler. I know that's a rematch, but how do you see that one going? That could go. I feel like 1,000 different ways.
I I think Oliveira wins. I think Chandler's just kind of a head case, and he's not the smartest fighter. You
Yeah.
know, tough dude. He's tough, but not the smartest guy sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. He's exciting, but not necessarily the best fight IQ. Some would say. I know you're not looking past Jim or anything like that, but say you do get the win, you're looking at that lightweight landscape. Like, who are some names you could maybe see potentially next?
Dude, I don't even know. Like the fact that they gave me Jim Miller on my move up was, pretty unreal. So I gotta kind of go with the flow on this one. I gotta let them. They like. I mean, like I'll let them do this, and this is what they came back with. So
Mm.
I'm sure whoever I get, it's gonna be an exciting matchup again. But I gotta go out there and take care of business for sure. And I definitely am not looking past Jim.
Life outside of fighting. I know you're like a coach and everything like that. You are a father, but you probably don't have much spare time. Any hobbies or anything like that outside of fighting and training for you?
Honestly, man, I do. I have I do a lot of crap, but hunting and fishing is my biggest thing. Like I go as much as I can. I'll go, and then something I haven't got to do a lot of in a while is some woodworking. Like I actually
Mm.
do that a lot. So I miss getting to work with my hands all the time. So but I built a brand new house a couple of years ago, and so I kind of I didn't have anything to repair, so I've got to make projects to do something. But yeah, I do a lot though.
I saw your one daughter competes. Does she train like other stuff, or is it just the amateur wrestling for now? And then if she were to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to fight," how do you feel about that?
I mean, like I would be shocked if eventually if one of them didn't want to do it. Like they all do wrestling, which is pretty unreal. Because
Mm.
I wouldn't even let my oldest daughter wrestle because when I grew up, it was girls versus boys, and there was no like now it's like it's all girls wrestling. Like they have all girls practice, all girls state and nationals. They have girls in college, so. It's changed a lot, and she's kind of led the way with the other girls, and they all wrestle, and it's pretty freaking awesome to have them do something that I did. But I would have never expected them to do that. But I think that they all enjoy kickboxing and stuff. But I hope they don't choose this lifestyle. So, but who knows, man? If they do it, I'll be all in. I'll help them out.
That do you find like training and coaching that helps you in your personal fight game also?
Yeah, yeah, and it helps. It helps with motivation too a lot too, because I know a lot of these guys are kind of watching me and seeing what I'm doing. So the days I don't feel like training and stuff like that, kind of helps me, get in the mood and gets me back in the gym a lot of times when, I don't really feel like going in. So, I definitely, there's pros and cons to it. I'm busy nonstop and I got my mind rolling all the time. So that's, can be good and bad. But it's been pretty damn awesome.
What advice would you give to some young, maybe they're fighting already, amateurs or even early pros? Like, what advice would you give to some early fighters kind of just getting into it?
Like I think a lot of people, you get around guys that are really successful, and you automatically start feeling like you're being left behind, or you feel like you're not doing things the right way. But something that I did, like I wrestled for 8 years before I had my first amateur fight. I did jiu-jitsu for about 4 years before I had my first amateur fight. And when I got to college, I had two amateur fights every summer until I went pro. So I was amateur for almost 5 years. And then when I went pro, I went all in nonstop. I fought every other month. And, that's something that I think a lot of people, they kind of go from amateur to pro too quickly, and they're not well
Hmm.
rounded. So, looking back at it, I did amateurs for 5 years, and then I was wrestling before that for about um, yeah, I did 8 years wrestling before college, and then that. So I think a lot of people rush it. They get in a big rush because they go to these bigger gyms and they train with these big guys doing big things, and they automatically think they're there just because they're
Hmm.
on the same mat. But I think just don't rush it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a good point too. Like going to the big gyms and stuff like that. Do you think it could be like almost detrimental though? Like I've heard, like you don't want to be the best guy in your gym. Like if you reach the point where you're at least at a small gym and you're the best one, maybe you should move on. Like how do you find that balance? You think?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a balance because you can go to a big gym and get lost, and then you can also fight in your hometown forever. So I
Yeah.
think that getting big matchups and taking big fights is being you should be a little scared of your opponent every time, and
Hmm.
if you're not, you're probably not fighting that high of a caliber fight. But there's a time and a place for that, so you got to build up to it, but you also can't rush in there with someone preparing for a UFC fight when you're a debut fighter. So
Yeah.
there's just different levels to it. So I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying with kind of take your fight career at a certain level, like where you train at one gym for a while and then you might have to level up.
Yeah. Your fight coming up Saturday. But just any training partners, any other events or fights going on?
Yeah, I mean, we just had what we had Jeff Neal just beat RDA, which was huge, and I've been moving around with him as much as possible. Just I love his southpaw movement. His like he's got a very unorthodox style, so I like to watch him, and I kind of do a lot of mimic of what his movement is, and he looks great and everything. And then Ramez is fighting on the same card as me, which is
Hmm.
always good for the energy in the room to have someone else on the same card, and then who else we had? We had Kennedy just fought. He won. He moved up to heavyweight. He just won. So, these are great things. And I've got a duel. He's actually coming out there with me. He'll be hopefully fighting early next year. But right now he doesn't have a fight, and he's just been training with me. So, he's hungry as hell, and I know he'll be looking for a fight soon.
I don't know if you watched the fights from this past weekend, but Carlos Pratas called your
I
boy
did.
Jeff out a little bit. He said if he can't get that Jack Medellina fight in Australia, he'll
Yeah.
go for Jeff Neal.
Yeah, man, I think that people really underestimate Jeff Neal's power until they get a hold of him and he's got really, he's got some great wrestling that he never lets loose. So, like when he's on point, man, he's a scary dude. And right now he's on point. So I hope to see him keep climbing that ladder and get back in the mix. And um, like you don't hear Colby Covington calling him out or anybody
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
like he's great. He's a scary dude. I think a lot of those guys are they might say his name, but they're very, very casually calling him out. And I think that
Hmm.
he had a bad performance against Wonder Boy. I wasn't like it sucked because he never let loose. And then he had freaking Ian Gary. I thought he was gonna destroy. I thought he was gonna kill Ian. Like I thought he was gonna kill him. And then things just he didn't have the best camp, and then to see him have a good camp and to see him go out there and put RDA away like that was nice. So,
Hmm.
I like to see him back in the mix soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that again. Can't wait to watch your journey and see where it goes from here.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.